Yes, my specific values. It's actually kind of hard to think specifically because I have a list of my general values, like action, taking action in the face of the most incomprehensible problems of our time, empathy, trying to understand people, seeing the bigger picture. These kind of general things, but they are in fact general. I did receive some criticism on my video that, well, I'm just kind of like saying the sentiment that most people my age would share anyways. And it's like, yes, that's true. That's actually true. And that's actually good. That was very good to hear because it means that the things that I care about most, my broader set of values are indeed shared among a lot of people. And whether or not I think that's gonna go anywhere, like I'm very much so passionate about like taking action in our material world that we're stuck in. Like things have to be done. Like I don't know, there's almost a separation that has to be made between having the values and then actually acting on the values. I feel like I don't see a lot of people acting on the values radically as we need to. But I do have a set of specific values that I want to open the conversation on. And again, it's challenging to kind of think about these because it's like a couple of them are controversial. But no, this is good to talk about. But what's the point of having specific values? The ones that are kind of controversial, the ones that might get you a weird look or that are harder to talk about, quite honestly. I think the point is to build it's to build confidence. Like I have these beliefs, and then now by putting them out online, I can bounce them off of other people, right? Or just, I don't know, putting them out into the world somehow. Obviously online is the best way that I know how, because like I've never once really found anybody in person who actually shares my truest sets of values in the way that I do, right? So that's the point, is like, let's build confidence, let's build mutual empowerment. Make a small culture, really, like a microculture is what I call it. I think it would come from these things, specific values and virtues. The point is to empower each other in virtue. It's hard to talk about these things. It's hard because, I have to remind myself of the point of this, because like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Write out my specific values? Like, I mean, are not the general values enough? Can we not all rally around the idea that like we just need to create some kind of parallel system? We need to create some kind of alternative land ownership model. This shit ain't working. Like, we need to be more empathetic. We need to do this. We need to have full control over our technology. I don't know. I'm starting the conversation here. So the first main category is practical. I also think of it as our shared work. The second big category is sort of on the holy and transcendent side of things, a sort of shared ritual. And these two things, I believe, are different. In the first category, sacrifice. So in my own life, this looks like, sobriety, denying myself, radical non-conformity, not non-conformity, more so like non-participation in corrupt systems, in justification. Like when your little brain makes you justify doing something that you shouldn't do. There has to be a way to avoid these things. Also, minimalism. Minimalism would fall into that. This is the self side of sacrifice. But like with all these points, if we move over to the community side, that basically just looks like purity. Like purity. Like, think about, actually, I think that word's controversial. I think that I'm not entirely sure. I think that word is controversial. Is it? Should we not strive to be pure? Should we not strive to be pure? Like, no, like, fuck the justifications. Like, let's just be pure. That's what it would look like in a community setting where we are empowering each other to do this. That's the community side of things, is just empowering each other. I feel like also in this category would be not having kids. So I don't believe in having children, and I don't believe in spreading like hereditary bullshit onto them. I think that might also be controversial and possibly associated with something called eugenics. I need to look into that, but this is something that's intuitive, and also I'm open to feedback and criticism, right? I don't want to be an asshole who just like doesn't really. I don't want to like be rigidly stuck in beliefs that are unhelpful. That would be completely counterproductive, in fact. But this is intuitive, right? It's like if you can avoid it, pick the neutral option. But for me, that's a little bit more radical in a couple ways, where it's like, no, like don't have kids. Um, yeah, I believe that. So that's the thing about that kind of belief is it's like, okay, don't have kids. I mean, like people are gonna have kids anyways, so that narrows down the people I'm talking to. That would narrow it down to the people who are already like kind of open to the idea of maybe wanting to just not ever have kids, and to them I speak, right? I would like if that idea of not spreading harmful genetics or family problems or just any kind of tragedy, I would be very happy if that idea spread around. So I put it out in the hopes of that. I know it's a little bit controversial. I know it's almost useless to share these ideas, but I must reassure myself that no, it is not, because the point again is to put the beacon out, to find like-minded people, and also to like get criticism on these ideas that like I mean, to some extent my brain forces me to carry them. I have to carry these ideas because it's what I believe in, it's what I care about. I can't just get rid of them or ignore them, because all of the ideas are important. They need criticism, but they also need empowerment, right? So it's like a balance between like, what if I just create an echo chamber for myself? I've seen this so many places where people just kind of like pick a community and it becomes a sort of echo chamber. There has to be a way out of that. In fact, with my entire general value set and my entire specific value set, I would argue that like there has to be a way out of everything. Like every fucking ailment that we face, there has to be a way out of it. So moving on. This is what I think of as shared work. So this is the shared work part of this whole broader practical category. And that would be, for myself, understanding child exploitation. So this called out to me when I was like 14. I ended up seeing an entire ring, community, business, system of child predators online. I basically had an infinite amount of I saw an infinite amount of child predators, it would seem, right? So as accounts, not as individual people. Obviously, one of the goals back then was to target different accounts, try to draw personal information out of them, at which point we would then like have more information to report to police, or on different sides of the online anti child predator community, like doxing, vigilantism type behavior. That shit changed my life. And nowadays, fast forward, I'm just like, well, shit, like it's sacred. It's sacred work. It's fucking so important. Oh my god. This is my priority in life. It is this work. And I have a whole entire website for it. We don't need to get into that right now, but you can see what I've been up to. But on the community side of this, things get really good, because this is the way that I relate to the world with that general value system, except it becomes a specific value system for me because I'm so radically prioritizing child exploitation awareness. But I imagine a co-working house at some point in time to which we could work on these things. I have put together some documents on a values-driven anti-exploitation sort of task force, which it's its own rabbit hole. Beyond that, I have a general online community, which of course has tons of potential, and it's done tons of good for the world already, I believe. And those are sort of the main things that I've been occupied with over the past many, many years. Of course, writing about it online as well, just basically rallying people, understanding the problems alongside people, I love it. It's kind of a good learning experience. I have a like it's kind of funny. It's like I have a Discord server for it, of all things. Still though, it's good to have this thing. It's good to have these things. It's good to have a helpful online presence, I suppose. This video is difficult, by the way, cuz like I don't want to get into everything right now, as well as the words aren't exactly coming to me right away. I fucking hate this video. I don't care. I'm going to upload it anyway because it starts the conversation. The point is to start the conversation right now, because it took me long enough to even try to write out a couple of my specific values, because it's like, what's the fucking point? Like, nobody's going to care in the first place. It's just wrong. Like, there is going to be somebody who cares, and at the very least, we can get the ideas out to bounce them off of other people's brains to then eventually hope. I mean, I consider myself a student of hope. So I can hope that through all of my learning, all of it, I can eventually learn a single fucking thing about a single fucking thing. I feel like I know stuff, but I very frequently just fucking question absolutely all of my knowledge. I'm very hurt by the exploitation in our world. I fucking hate the injustice in our world. My singular goal, even when I'm sitting with the people who I love the most, even when I have the literally the perfect, balanced, and healthy life, even in those moments, you must understand that I look around at the world and I see through a thin layer of the oxygen around me. I see the injustice, because it's ever present and it's lurking in the bushes, essentially, waiting to devour somebody. I hope you understand what I mean by that. You can start to see this native language of mine come out. Is how I think of it. It's like just my own natural language, which we'll get into in a second. That's actually in the holy, the divine, that other big section of things that we're going to talk about. Fucking hate the injustice, man. Like, why? Like, why do I get to have good moments? It doesn't make any sense. Why do I get to have good moments, but then there's just like somebody suffering right now? It's very strange. Maybe that's the point of these values, is like, if we get really fucking specific, if we get real radical about it, maybe then we won't just have like a watered down value system where we're just like, okay, empathy. Okay, action. Well, sure, action, yes. And I do very much value my big set of values, like having control over our technology. But again, everybody believes that. This shit matters. This shit really fucking matters. And every time I tell myself that it doesn't, not exactly doing any favors for anybody. Because yes, if we like vowed to not have as many kids, the lives of the kids who currently exist would be improved, and then we would have a neutral outcome where there's no new kids being created, so there's no loss, right? But there's no gain necessarily of pleasure and happiness of the child. But that's fine, because then we can put our energy towards the people who already exist. We need to figure this shit the fuck out. Oh my god. So that's the shared work, right? It's the child exploitation. This shit, I repeat, in fact, the word child exploitation, I repeat that shit in my mind like circles all the time. Because it's broad. It's extremely broad. It refers to any injustice done against the most vulnerable among us, essentially. And when I describe it like that, well, you can see why the fuck we would care so much about it. But it's a priority for me, whereas for somebody else, like, I don't know, they might prioritize, somebody else might be drawn to protect elderly people. Or any number of things, disabled people. For me, it's children. That's a little bit more specific. It's pretty general as well, but I have a couple specific ways of going about it. Let's move on 2, I guess what I'm calling student of hope. Sorry about the categories if they're a little bit confusing. Hopefully you're just like listening to the words. You don't have to like organize it with me as I tell you about this. I know it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, I consider myself a student of hope. So in my personal life, this looks like conscious seeking, relentlessly seeking the truth. Fucking truth. Everybody thinks they know the truth. This shit's fucking impossible, right? That's why I'm a student of hope, is because I don't know a fucking thing about anything sometimes. I can only hope to know some shit. And of course, writing down values instead of going to college, this is what I do. Instead of going to college, instead of going to school and shit, thinking that I know anything about anything, I try to write down my value system. I try to like journal about what I care most on the broad levels. Because I want to learn. I want to know something. I want to have a value system that like lets me interact with the world without causing harm. Because everyone around me, like they can go to college, they can do all these great, amazing, productive things, but then they still like eat factory farmed food. It's fucking weird. It's a double standard. It's actually fucking insane. In my lifetime, right, we need to shift the culture such that people doing what I'm doing will be a job in and of itself. Like where you just sit the fuck down. Actually, no, take 10 steps backwards from life. Sit the fuck down, try to examine some shit and figure it out. Like figure out what life even is. Ask big questions. Go on adventures. This shit should be paid and rewarded. Instead of just the default where it's like you have a kid, you go to college. I'm impressed that people can do that. And those things aren't bad. It's just, well, this is why I'm telling you my specific values, right? It's because this is going to be someone who shares my sensibility. Conscious seeking and lonesome learning. In a community sense, I suppose this would look like just hearing all the injustice in the world and then taking action on it together. Like, and then hopefully just learning something. I'm desperately searching for a community. This is so sad. I'm just like, I'm desperately searching for people to empower me, to understand my sensibilities, who, like, yeah, moving on. This is what I call practical ownership. In a personal sense, this looks like traveling to different kinds of communities, different kinds of places, just traveling, being homeless, going on great adventures. Adventure. I mean, yeah, in my personal life, it's just adventure, which is so beautiful. I would recommend that every young person who is able to physically should go on an adventure. Don't buy a hotel. Just go somewhere, stay with somebody, work exchange or something, do a seasonal job. Don't even do a seasonal job, just fucking panhandle. Like, God. This shit's genuinely been life-changing for me. It's like adventuring. What's the point of adventuring, though? Well, in a community sense, this looks like alternative land ownership models. And you might be kind of confused, like, what's the correlation between adventuring? There's not like necessarily a correlation. It's just this is what it looks like in my personal life versus sort of the what like the community alternative of this would be, is like actually settling down instead of adventuring, and then settling down in such a way where we've figured out how to have an alternative land ownership model. I believe that everybody should have land upon birth. I believe that communities need to exist everywhere that people can just kind of go to We need more people who own land in the traditional system to give up some of their land for good causes. We need more certain land. We need certain forests to be preserved instead of mowed over. Basically, we manage land in this really strange way that doesn't exactly account for the, I guess, maximization of human flourishing, essentially. The land is more so treated as a commodity, which is, it's fair. I don't exactly oppose that land is like a commodity or something, or like a product, because at the end of the day, humans, like I'm not going to deny, like, we are the superior beings in a way. Like, if we want to fucking slit animals' throats and throw them on the ground and kick them around, we should have every right to do that. I'm just kidding. We're a terrible fucking species. We need to get this shit under control ASAP. Land ownership has plagued me for a long time, but there's all kinds of alternative communities out there that can be beacons of hope into the world. I'm just thinking of like houseboat communities. I'm thinking of all kinds of villages, like eco villages. There's just so many fucking options, and so many people who have realized this necessity. And that is the point of traveling, is to eventually basically navigate through hell of what we call real estate, which is just a completely cancerous word, I believe. Navigating through that hell to have balance, where some corporate person can't exactly own land in a small community and not even live there. That kind of thing. This shit pisses most people off to some extent, but also it also pertains to housing and like land development as well. I believe that we're not entitled to have houses, but we are entitled to have land to then build the houses on. Fairly simple. Let's move on to that second big category, though, because everything I've said so far is like the practical stuff. But for a second, I want to talk about what could be thought of as like our shared ritual. And this is so ambitious for me. Because the closest that I've had to this was experience in Christianity, which has then drastically and horribly failed me so fast. But nonetheless, there's so much good for these kinds of things. This whole category of things. I'm not going to give it up. I'm just not going to give it up. I'm not going to, like, even though I'm tired right now and like I'm actually sad and discouraged with the video, I'm not going to give up on this idea. We need this kind of shit. We need these kinds of things. The happiest I've ever been was striving for a holy cause of bringing people closer to God himself. That is something that can, I mean, imagine the deep levels of fulfillment. And then, of course, I lost that. So, like, that's kind of my backstory of why I would even care about this. So the first part about the first thing, right, that I want to talk about with under this category is what I think of as the native language of oneself and one's community. This mutual language, and understanding. It's why I use Christian language. It's why I listen to Christian songs. It's why I listen to war songs. Is because language. It's why a Christian can say, we are purchased with the blood of the Lamb. We are free because of the blood. And it makes me as white as snow. It's why we can say some shit like that to another Christian, and the other Christian would understand exactly what the fuck that means. But if you just said that to a random person, it's like, oh my gosh, what? Are you okay? Do I need to call a fucking ambulance? This shit has plagued me. This shit has actually eaten away at my soul. Is like the miscommunication, essentially. Is like, I'll speak in some kind of language like that, where it's like it's insanely meaningful and insanely like transcendent and divine, and somebody will basically just be like, do you need to go to the hospital, or are you just like a crazy cult member, essentially? Which is it can be blatantly offensive and horribly like mentally draining to live in a world and live in a community of people who are so blatantly against your sensibility. The things that make sense to you just doesn't make any sense to them. This is the tragedy of life. Which, and I know I keep repeating this, but that further reinforces, I guess, why these values matter. You know, I have to like start talking about it for it to make a little bit more sense, because they just get a little bit obsessed with like writing and shit. So for my personal life, this is like Christian language and sacrifice type language, like just using that language to try to relate with the world and try to understand the world instead of plain English. And in a community sense, this looks like, well, I want to have a tradition. I want to have another kind of Christian tradition that doesn't fail me. This is something I'm working on. I'm working on all of these things all the time. But I'd like to have a better type of Christian tradition that makes more sense, is more serious, and is more accepting and more eclectic or integrative. But yeah, I mean, it's simple as that. I'm hoping for it and I'm working for it. But it's not something that we quite have yet. Right now, I only have dissatisfaction with the traditions and rituals that we do. But moving on, light pollution and architecture. This is beauty, right? This is beauty. So for myself, this looks like basically prioritizing the most important and beautiful thing in the world, which is the sky, in its daytime form and in its nighttime form. And that's almost like also a sort of like, I was about to say worship, but I don't really want to say that. Like just a recognition and care for duality as well as like a concept. And of course, like the sky, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is the most important thing in the world because it's the closest thing that we can witness to the whole of the universe. It's so beautiful because of just how much stuff you are actually seeing when you look at it. It's impossibly beautiful. So that's like in a community sense, that's like a ritual of wholeness, is just turning off our lights at night as a practical step to decrease light pollution, which is one of the great tragedies of our time, easily one of the most unnoticed tragedies. I mean, people know about it. Like, a lot of people know about it. It's just nobody does anything about it. But of course, in a community setting, and of course with my personal values and everything, like, this looks like prioritizing that as a shared ritual in a way. Going outside to look at the Milky Way together. I would love to do that in whatever context I end up meeting my people, pretty much. Which is looking like it will happen. I just need to keep making videos. I need to keep putting out the beacons. I need to just keep working and, like, God forbid, like, actually interacting with people, right? No, it's fine. I mean, you got to do what you have to do. The day will come, for sure. The day will come. But I also deeply value beautiful buildings, beautiful architecture. I care about this so much. I haven't been able to do this in person in my own life, but this is so crucial to me. Is like, let's observe beautiful things. Let's protect beautiful natural things, but let's also just create things that actually look good and work good ourselves. I don't know what it is with like these like liquor stores and shit, but it's just it's so fucking boring and sad sometimes. That is I think that is in fact subjective. As much as I want to say like maybe it's a little bit objective, no, that's got to be a little bit subjective, because it's opinion based, because a lot of different people, they have different sensibilities. A lot of people love technological advancements. They love, I don't know, I've embodied different sensibilities throughout my different eras of my life, and so I understand this. I understand like the difference in belief to some extent. Like, I'm not, thank God I do, right? Thank God I have some compassion for, oh my gosh. It's terrible, the divide that we face. The divide that we face is terrible. It's fucking disgusting. We should have beautiful buildings though, like we should, because it can boost our morale. That would be the point of it, is specifically for human beings to see beautiful things, to be inspired by daily. Let's make it happen. Finally, is what I'm thinking of as joy and meaning. In my personal life, this looks like life purpose and that deep personal conviction to make all this shit happen. And having a sense of purpose in the first place. I believe in this. I believe in encouraging others to find this. And so in a community setting, that would look like holding each other to high standards, like with purity, I guess, but also empowering each other. It's empowerment. That is simply what it is. In devotion to our higher goals, our virtues. And I was so allergic to this kind of language for the longest time, where it's like, well, I don't want to sound self-righteous. I don't want to. I'm almost afraid to stand for things sometimes. But no, we should. Especially if people agree that this is okay. Like, especially if this kind of like ethos, this kind of microculture can coexist alongside the other cultures, and even better if these specific values are derivatives of the larger values that are widely regarded and widely held as a universal, then that's great. Like that's perfect. That reinforces this essentially. So yeah, I poured out my heart with all of my previous videos, and people agree. And then here we are, where maybe it's time to talk a little bit more about my specific values. So this is what I think of as my microculture, is having these specific values. And of course, there may be another video regarding these things, but for now, I think I covered everything I wanted to say. I was honest about my limitations. I was honest about like the problems that I was facing with talking about this. And of course, I was honest with the ideas themselves. These are things that I hold so highly in my personal life. But, it is challenging to think. It's challenging to think. I'm going to be honest with you, because what I could do instead is just kind of like numb myself with all kinds of things, really. You can numb yourself with any number of things, whether they're like blatantly bad addictions or like not blatantly bad addictions, like work or something. But I make it a point to prioritize these things at all costs, even if I become in poverty. Because above all else, I like to think generally about the world. I like to think. I like to have the freedom to decide what I believe in, instead of just basically working myself to death at college, where I don't have any room to. I wouldn't have any room to question life. I wouldn't have any room to really think about these things, because I'd more so be drained from the workday. I believe I'm doing something great here. Like, I genuinely believe that I'm doing something great that is needed in the world. Please let me know if I'm not. But of course, like I wouldn't stop just because someone says that I'm not. Like what I'm saying is a conversation needs to happen on all of these points. I think I covered it. I did it, right? That's amazing. So yeah, I support a revolution, honestly, and a new culture. I support a broader society-wide cultural reform of sorts, a peaceful revolution, but I also support the creation of a microculture, which I've been talking about so much. This is the personal life of one's individual self as it relates to a local community, and this is crucial. All of them are crucial. I made an entire video about this. I have honestly, I'm proud of myself for talking about this. So I hope you understand. I would honestly love thoughts about this. But you can also get in contact with me in like whatever way you see fit. I mean, I have a couple contact methods associated on my profile here. And I'd love if like you checked out the work that I've been doing, which I've spoken about here. But yeah, I mean, thank you for watching. That's all there is to this. Let's build new culture.